Yeah. What's going on, guys? How y'all doing tonight? Everything good? This is quite possibly the best time of the year. The playoffs have started. We got the play-in tournament getting cracking, which is dope. We already got the seeds figured out. Which is also dope. I'm not really a fan of the play-in tournament, but that's just me. So you got a lot of people who really feeling the play-in tournament because they worry about teams tanking. And I mean, I can dig that. I can absolutely dig that. So I'm not one of those people. I don't appreciate mediocrity and awarding it. Nah. That's why I'm not a fan of the play-in tournament. I'm just not. There's really not. What's going on, Darrell? How you doing, brother? Hello, Jillian, dear. I'm just not a fan of the play-in tournament. And I mean, I catch a lot of heat for it. And I catch a lot of heat for it simply because, what's up, Liam? How you doing, brother? I catch a lot of heat for it simply because I don't look at it as more basketball. I look at it as awarding bad basketball. You know, we already have a play-in tournament, right? And the play-in tournament is 82 games. You got 82 games to get in. And if you can't get in the playoffs in 82 games, you out. Absolutely. You are OUT out. Not feeling that at all. But of the play-in games, the one that I'm looking forward to the most, I'm looking forward to Brooklyn and Cleveland. I'm definitely going to watch Minnesota and the Clippers because that's going to be a good one. I'm really feeling that game. But I'm really interested in Brooklyn. I'm really interested in Brooklyn and Cleveland because Cleveland got a top 5 defense, right? Cleveland got a top 5 defense. And when you are, then Jared Allen's not going to play neither, by the way. But when you have a top 5 defense, right? When you have a top 5 defense, this is a great opportunity to test your defense and to see where you are defensively. To see where you are defensively. And with that being said, without Jared Allen, I think that it's going to be a little bit different. I would really have liked to have seen him in the lineup because I think that they would have really been tested and I would have gotten a better gauge on, what this team is defensively because they're a top 5 team. Offensively, they just got a bunch of dogs. They do. They got a bunch of dogs, and I think they got a good shot at beating. Brooklyn. It's gonna be difficult considering Brooklyn's high-powered offense with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. with how them two dudes score, what is it gonna take to beat these dudes? Well, I can tell you right now what's not gonna work. If this game is in the 120s, 130s, that means that them two dudes are cooking. If you could keep this game in the high 90s, low 100s, I think you got a legit shot at beating these dudes. I think you got a legit shot at beating them because that means that if Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant both give you, I don't know, let's say they give you 60, that means the other 60 have to come from these other dudes. And I'm not really feeling getting 60 points from Drummond and Claxton and Mills, Curry. I ain't feeling getting 60 from all of them dudes. So I'm not. If you can hold these dudes to high 90s, I doubt that you can hold these dudes to 90. You asking a lot to hold these dudes to 90. But if you can hold these dudes to mid to high 90s, maybe even low 100, you got a legit shot in beating these dudes. A legit shot in beating them. That Clippers series, that Clippers game, that Clippers Minnesota game, man, if Leonard was healthy, if Leonard was healthy, if Paul George was healthy the entire season, we'd be having a different conversation about these dudes. I am 100% confident in that. We would absolutely be having a different conversation about these dudes. And it pains me that them dudes weren't. What's up, Dejan? How you doing, brother? It pains me that them dudes weren't. So I look at this Clippers unit and I look at what's going on with them. And I dig Kennard, his ability to stretch the defense. I dig what Reggie Jackson has been doing. He's a catalyst to what they've been doing. Reggie Jackson these last couple of years, he's been playing great. Even in the role that he's been in, he's been playing great. And I'm loving what he's doing. But Minnesota has always been a team that I always felt like if D'Angelo Russell was healthy, that's a playoff team. Because you got your big in Cat. Not only do you have your big in Cat, you got your second-year guard in Anthony Edwards, who is becoming one of the better two guards in the game. And I always felt like with D'Angelo Russell being healthy, that's a playoff team. I look at them the same as I look at Charlotte, where if Hayward was healthy, I think this Charlotte team could go further than what they already did. But that's 17, 18 a game that's out of the lineup, plus that vet that you do not have, that you just do not have. And I look at this Minnesota team and I think that they'll outlast the Clippers. And I think they'll get that 7 spot. I do. Now, after that, I mean, the Clippers got the 9-10 winner, right? They got the 9-10 winner, so they should be able to hold on to that. I like New Orleans, and I'm not a fan of. I like what New Orleans has done this season. I just don't like how they ran. I think that Willie Green he's definitely did a better job than what we all thought that he would. So definitely did a better job than what he did. So with that, I think the Clippers in Minnesota are going to end up in the playoffs. So it's going to be good, man. This is really going to be good. I look at, Frank Vogel getting fired today, and I think it's a combination of him losing that team and him also wanting to be. I think he wanted to be out of there. There's a part of him that's been disappointed, and there's also been a part of him that I think he wanted to be gone, because I don't think he got a legit shot. Everybody thought that what happened in the 1920 season, that it was a fluke. They was in the bubble, and it really wasn't that kind of. Pardon me, it wasn't really that kind of. It wasn't traditional, and they got lucky. And then last season, James was out of the lineup for 2 months, and then Anthony Davis got hurt. So he really didn't get that kind of. He didn't really get that opportunity to show that, I'm one of the better coaches, and I am the coach for this team. So I think it's disappointing. But with that also being said, this mix of guys here that they had, it seems like it sounded like a good idea on paper, but it was doomed from the start. It was absolutely doomed right from the beginning. This thing was doomed from the start, because if you look at this group, I mean, THT and AD, with the exception of James, THT and AD, those are the only two dudes that was on THT, AD, and James. Those are the only 3 dudes that was on the team from last year. So we had a completely different roster. From last year. So here we are, and add that to the fact that not only did we have a completely different roster, we had a completely different mix of guys that it just really didn't really work. Russell Westbrook is not a guy who you put a leash on. You got to turn him loose. Russell was trying to find himself the entire season. He was just looking like he just looked out of sorts. He looked out of sorts, and he just looked like a guy, but he looked out of sorts, and he just looked like a guy who just didn't really fit into what they were doing. But it sounded like a good idea initially, because James has figured it out with these guys in the past. And again, I understand that they had to let Vogel go. And they had to let Vogel go simply because he had lost the team. He had lost those guys. And he lost them early. It's not like it's a situation where they had gotten themselves in a position where they weren't in contention anymore, and then they just stopped listening to him. No, that happened early. It was maybe a month into the season, where he had lost that team. And it was obvious that they weren't responding to him. Just how they were playing defense, just how efficient they were offensively, they weren't responding to him at all. And it was time for a change. I think Vogel will be back on a unit really soon. I don't think that he's going to be – I do think he's a head coach in the NBA. What I'm not trying to hear is him getting these older coaches getting recycled. Like, I'm not interested in hearing Mike D'Antoni or Alvin Gentry. If I'm the Los Angeles Lakers, I'm getting on the phone with Mark Jackson. Absolutely. I'm getting on the phone with Mark Jackson, and I'm going to check his temperature, because I think that Mark Jackson, despite what happened with the Golden State Warriors, I think that Mark Jackson can coach. I think he's a damn good coach, and I think he wants to get back into coaching. And I look at that group, and he's going to have some say-so in what they're doing. It's not like he's just going to get on the unit and go, all right, I got LeBron James and Anthony Davis, so I bet. No. Mm-mm. I think that he's going to have some say-so in who they bringing in, what kind of decision making he has. If he were to get, it's not just going to be he gets a call and, yo, you're the guy. No. It's not that simple. It's not that simple at all. So that's my morning rant, afternoon, evening rant. So what up, Mark? How you doing, brother? So this is a really good time of year, man. I'm looking forward to the playoffs. I'm looking forward to seeing how this thing unfolds, yo. So we'll see. We'll absolutely see. So who in here tonight? What we got going on? Chris, what's up, brother? How you doing tonight, my man? I don't have to say that Joker winning the league MVP. I do not have to say that. I said that Giannis was winning the league MVP, and I still stand on that, my man. I stand on that. And if you cannot convince me, I don't care. Matter of fact, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you, before I go any further, before I get to everybody else, I'm going to ask you, convince me that a guy who's on a team that's 17 games out of first place, who's 26, 14, and 8 is more valuable than a guy who's on a team who's tied for second, and I'm 30, 11, and 6. Convince me. Convince me that what you're doing on your team is more valuable than what I'm doing on my team. Convince me that what he's doing on his team is more valuable than what Embiid is doing on his team. Convince me of that. What up, Tim? How you doing, brother? No, the records. See, basically similar doesn't work. Let's make sure that we get to the bottom of that, because they have Milwaukee has a better record than Denver. So I'm not listening to that. That basically similar thing, because if you're gonna tell me that, then I can tell you the same thing about I can tell you the same thing about what Giannis is doing. He's doing the same thing the Joker is doing. Same thing. So I don't know, Liam. When I look at the defensive player of the year, Marcus Smart got a higher defensive rating by 1 point than Giannis and Mikal Bridges. Giannis got a better defensive win share and a better defensive plus minus. I think he was more impactful defensively. I think Robert Williams covered up a lot of their deficiencies, and I think that helped. So when I'm looking at the defensive player of the year, I think Giannis is at the top of that list. I also think that I think Joker got a say in that. Absolutely, he does. I think Joker has a say in that. I think Joker is higher than Bam. Joker and Embiid, I think they're both higher than Bam. I think they're higher. Joker and Giannis, I think they're both higher than Bam. I think they're higher than Embiid. I think that I think they're high. I think he's higher than Marcus Smart too, also. So I think that that's the story. That is a fact, man. That is a fact that Giannis's team isn't as good defensively. And Marcus Smart's team, I think they're at the top of the league defensively. Now, that's largely due to their rim protector. It's not. When I think about what Marcus Smart does, I think that the last line of defense is Robert Williams. I think that he's the last line of defense. Jillian, dear, you can write this down and you can quote me on it. I wouldn't be nearly as nervous about the Raptors. They have no answer for Embiid. None. Now, what I've watched over the years in the playoffs, when teams have a guy that another team has no answer for and they utilize that, usually that team wins. So when I'm looking at this Philadelphia team, the Toronto Raptors have no answer for Embiid. None. He should absolutely dominate this series. And when I say dominate, Jillian, I mean like what Olajuwon did. He should dominate this series. The Toronto Raptors have no answer for him whatsoever. Now, that doesn't mean that other teams do. But when I look at this Toronto Raptors team, they have no answer for Embiid. No matter what you try to throw at them, what you try to throw at him, they have no answer for him. The only downside to this is possibly that Thibault can't play in Toronto because he's not fully vaccinated. So that might be an issue. But other than that, and like I said, you could quote me on this. I got Philly serving them in 5 games. I think they served Toronto in 5 games. No question in my mind. I think they straight destroyed Toronto because they have what I've seen in the past is I've seen big guys. I've seen big guys dominate, right? I've seen big guys dominate, and in the process of seeing big guys dominate, they control a series. And when they control a series, the series usually goes in their favor. And Embiid in this Raptor series, he should absolutely dominate this series. I'm not saying that he should play well. He should dominate this series. And with him dominating this series, they should wipe the floor with Toronto. And that's not to say that Toronto isn't a good team. I think they're an awesome team. But they have no answer for Embiid. None. Not only do they not have any answer for him, they have nothing to even counter him. Nothing. Siakam, Van Fleet, Boucher, these are their big guys. They have no answer for him. They should absolutely wipe the floor with Toronto in 5 games, tops. They should just straight destroy them dudes. No doubt about that. So you worried about the Nets? You don't want nothing to do with the Celtics. That's dope. I think that they served the Bulls, Muhammad. I don't think that they beat the Bulls. I think they served the Bulls. And when I say served them, I say they served the Bulls in 5 games, 6 tops. I don't think this series goes past that. I don't think that this series goes past that. So, Hey, Scott, I'm trying to figure out that was the other thing too, Scott, about a coaching search with the Lakers. They talked about that Nick Nurse might be in the mix. If you Nick Nurse, are you even entertaining that Laker job? What about that Laker job is appealing to you? That's number one. Number two, if you're a Surrey from the Toronto Raptors GM, what do the Lakers have that they could possibly entice you to give them? What do they have to give you that you'll give them Nick Nurse? Because I don't think Toronto is that far away. Excuse me. I don't think Toronto is that far away. I think that they one guy away from really challenging in the Eastern Conference. I really do. Absolutely, I think that. No doubt about that. So I look at this team and I'm thinking they're going to be the real deal if they can get one guy. But I don't see them stepping off that. I don't see them stepping off them though. I don't. So I don't see them stepping off them at all. So Mm-hmm. Did I write that down? I don't know. Yes. Mm-hmm. It's going to be tough for Oklahoma City, my man. Especially with all of them, with them draft picks that you have. Especially with all them draft picks that you have. Those are your what's the word I'm looking for? Those are your trump cards. Because those are the things that teams are looking for. All them draft picks that you got, you can't use them all. You can't. So you have to give some of them away. You have to. So in the process of giving those away, that means that you can probably get some good capital. You already got good capital, so that means that you can get some good players for them. Really good players for them. So I do like Frankie Ocean. Ain't that the do you slide on all your nights like this? I might. I like that. I think that's dope. No doubt about it. Let's see here. Germany in the house. Yes, sir. Dankeschön for showing up. So Keyshawn, all you going off of his numbers, and this is what I need. This is what I make sure. This is what we need to understand here. You going off numbers. If that's what we doing, that's got to be the logic going forward. Now make sure that you remember here that everything that you're going to give me is you're going to give me numbers. You're not going to give me anything else regarding the team. You're going to give me all of his numbers, and not only are you going to give me all of his numbers, I'm going to give you Giannis's numbers, which is right behind him. Not only is he right behind him, I'm on a better team than you. So winning matters. So if you're giving this to Joker, that means that we taking winning off the table. And this has got to be the theme going forward. And I got no problem with that. I got no problem with that, because what I'm not trying to hear is I'm not trying to hear next year seeing the same thing when a guy putting up ridiculous numbers and he doesn't get a sniff for league MVP when he's putting up ridiculous numbers. Meanwhile, we just gave it to Joker. Because your trump card with me is you're going to give me numbers. That's it. That's all you're going to give me. You're not going to give me anything else. That's all you're going to give me, because that's what he has on him. Numbers. Winning doesn't matter here, because I'm doing virtually the same thing that you're doing. You number one in the league in PER. I'm number two in PER. You in the top 5 in rebounding. I'm in the top 5 in rebounding. I'm in the top 5 in scoring. You in the top 10 in assists. I'm in the top 15 in assists. Everything. I'm in the top 10 in blocks. Let's see. Defensive win shares, offensive win shares, defensive plus minus, offensive plus minus. All of that stuff. You're number one in. I'm number 2 in it though. So I'm right behind you in all of those things. And with that being said, I'm on a better team than you. So my winning affects my team more than yours does. And I'm not listening to this logic. There's no way that I'm going to buy the logic that, look at the team he had. Because I watched Hakeem Olajuwon win the MVP in the 1993-94 season with Vernon Maxwell as his second best player. I'm not listening to that logic about who he had. I'm not trying to hear that. I'm not. So you can dead that with me. You can kill that logic with me. So and that matters, Tim. That absolutely matters, Tim. Yes, it does. No doubt about it. Hey, Payne, if Robert Williams wasn't hurt, I would give, especially the way the Celtics are coming into the playoffs, I would give them a legit shot. I would give them a legit shot in the Eastern Conference. But the fact that they don't have that rim protector, and they're going to get him back later on in the playoffs, and I don't know how sharp he's going to be throwing him back in the lineup. I don't know if they get past the first round, right? If they get past the first round, I don't know how sharp he's going to be, because he hasn't played in a month and a half or so. So that's going to be a little bit difficult, right? That's going to be difficult. So now here's the thing, Labs. I got no problem with your logic about giving it to the better seeded player. I'm a little bit I'm a little bit on the other side where if you giving it to the dude, right? If you giving it to the dude with better numbers, that got to be the logic going forward. That means you telling me winning doesn't matter. And it's not like this is an unprecedented season because Jabbar did this in the 75-76 season. Everything that Joker doing, Jabbar did it in the 75-76 season. So it's not like it's a situation where this is something that we never seen before. It has happened. It absolutely has happened. So, yeah, Dodge. So if they plan on extending Snyder, the reason why they're doing that is because they're going to shake up this unit. That's what I think is going to happen. They're going to absolutely shake this unit up. Mm-hmm. Jillian, you think the Celtics could beat the Nets without Williams? I think they can too. I think that they can too. Absolutely. I think they got a good shot at doing that. Yes, they do. Mm-hmm. Let's see. No, I don't think that Giannis is the second best power forward all time. I think that Karl Malone is the second best power forward all time. No, sir, I do not. Mm-mm. He did make the playoffs. Wow, he did win the league MVP while missing the playoffs. The next year, he did. He did average 27 and 17 that year, though. I will say that. He did average 27 and 17 that year. Yes, he did. And the year before that, his team made the playoffs, and they were also at the bottom of the pack when they made the playoffs. So I'm not sure if the Jazz are going to make a move this summer, right? If the Jazz are going to make a move this summer, I'm thinking that they're going to split up. I think that they're going to split up. They can't split up Mitchell and Rudy because they just signed these dudes to extensions. That just looks bad. It just looks bad because we bet the house on these two guys, and in the process of doing that, we haven't gotten at least to the conference finals, and it just looks bad. I don't get it. I can't say that I get it. Oh, well, that's a good thing, Sean. You don't have to see the Bucks in the first round, so that's a good thing. You don't have to worry about that. Mm-mm. You think if they were to move Gobert, we just want to move? Absolutely, because they could get the most for him. They could get the most for of all the guys that they're moving on that team. If they move Rudy Gobert, they could get the most for him. Absolutely, they could get the most. I'm talking draft picks. I'm talking another big. I'm when I think about what Rudy Gobert's value is, I hear a lot of people talking about how he's not valued defensively. He can't defend on the perimeter. Well, that's really not my job, but I can defend on the perimeter. I just don't defend 25 feet away from the basket, which was coaching. That had nothing to do with Rudy. I mean, you asking a big man, or you ask when Bam has to step out and guard 25 feet away from the basket. Well, that takes away from what we're doing defensively. Like, we don't have nobody to rebound now, right? Now we don't have nobody. Not only do we not have nobody rebounding, we don't have nobody protecting the rim. So when you get action off the basketball, you got guys going to the basket. Why do you think Miami beat Boston a couple of nights ago when they was up in Boston? The reason why is because Robert Williams was off the floor. Our rim protector isn't here. If our rim protector was here, then the stuff that you're doing, that going downhill, that wouldn't happen. You would not do that if that was going on. First round exits. I'm just not ready to give up on these dudes yet, man. I'm just not. I doubt I'm going to see that again. I mean, the last dude to do it was Tiny Archibald, where he led the league in assists and points, in total points and total assists. Tiny Archibald was the last guy to do that. It depends, Sauce, on how far the Heat go. Like, if the Heat end up in the Eastern Conference Championship with Milwaukee, I'm absolutely in South Beach. No doubt about it. Yes, I am down there. Yes, I am. No doubt. That calf strain is they could it's going to take longer than a week. So, for example, in the 05-06 season, Alonzo Mourning strained his calf, and he was able to sit out that first-round playoff series against Washington. They didn't need him in that series. So this calf strain may be worse. I mean, I don't want to make it worse by rushing Luka, but I don't know if I want to make it worse by rushing Luka, but this isn't a situation where he could just sit because they ain't good enough. They're not. They're not good enough where he could just sit. I don't have a specific team, Dick. I don't have a specific team. I'm a player. I'm a fan of players. So, well, that depends on what they do right now, Arthur. If we still on the James train, if we still on the Anthony Davis train, then maybe this thing isn't over. But if you're talking about tearing this whole thing down, you got to start with trading James. Any and everything that you could get, ask for it for James. And then from there, you start rolling. Then it starts to roll. I go from there to I'm asking for everything that I can for Anthony Davis, and then whatever I can get from Russell Westbrook. Because if I'm moving James, or if I'm rebuilding, we starting over. We completely. There's no reason to if we rebuilding. There's no reason for us to continue. There's no reason for us to continue to try to build around Anthony Davis. He's already proven that he's injury prone. We can't build our unit around a dude like that. We can't. We cannot build our unit around a dude who's injury prone. So if we moving off James, that means we got to move off everybody and see what we can get from everybody. I made a TikTok video. I had made a TikTok video, Jillian, about how Rudy plants himself underneath the basket and how much he asks for the basketball, and they don't even look for him, and how much more that would open up their offense. I mean, Rudy doesn't strike me as he's limited offensively, but I watched him in the Olympics, man. I did. I watched him in the Olympics, and I know international ball is different than what's going on in the States. But the way that they used him as a rim runner, as a pick and dive guy, as a pick and pop guy, the way that they used him, I thought that was so much more efficient. And if the Jazz were to do that, I think that they would be so much better. I just think they would be so much better. Mm-hmm. Well, he's 15-15 now, Jay. Mm-hmm. I think he could absolutely be a 17-a-game guy. No doubt. If they used him more. 2 nights ago, I mean, let's not talk about the 20-20 game he just had. 2 nights after that, he went 9 for 9. I'm thinking to myself, why don't y'all involve this guy more in offense? What's the problem? Why aren't we going to him more than we do? What's the real deal here? So I don't get that. You think the 76ers served the Raptors. So what happened a few nights ago? Score was 25-11. Raptors came back and won. Do you think that you're going to see that effort in the playoffs? In the playoffs. Do you think that you're going to see that effort? That's my question to you. Do you think that I don't think that I'm going to see that effort. Hell no. Absolutely not. I'm going to see a way different Philadelphia 76ers team. Way different. Hell no. Luka and Giannis would be a good finals. I think that the NBA would like that, but I think that the NBA, I don't think Luka is ready for that. Nobody looking for him, Chris. Nobody. I do remember that Doc is the coach, and he got out coached last year by Nate McMillan, and they had no business losing to the Atlanta Hawks in that series. None. And I stand on that. They had no business losing to them dudes. None. Mm-mm. But I still stand on what I said about James Harden. This team, James Harden has to show that I can show up in the playoffs. I'm looking at this Raptors series, and I think that Embiid could beat them, just him. All I need for you dudes to do is just be a threat. He could beat them, just him. Now, when we get into the later rounds, right? Now, when we get into the later rounds, now it's going to get tricky because now we got a guy in Doc Rivers. We're talking about X and O guys. Now we're talking about rotations. Now we're talking about in-game adjustments, which Doc struggles with. He absolutely does. He absolutely struggles with that. So that's the thing that I'm concerned with Doc more than anything. But the guy that I think to myself, who is the guy who is going to be instrumental in what they're doing? James Harden. James Harden is going to be the difference. Mm-hmm. I don't know, King. I think I'm looking at a different Embiid this year, man. I think I'm looking at a different Embiid this year. Completely different. I don't know, man. I think I'm looking at a different Embiid this year, yo. I think he dominates them dudes. Just him alone. Mm. Nah, he'll be better. He has to be better than that. Who can put the ball in? I don't see nobody who can score the basketball like Cole. In the game today, I don't really see anybody, with the exception of James. You know, James, KD, those two guys, James Harden, those guys. Yep. And Carmelo Anthony, he over, but those are the three guys that I'm thinking about: James Harden, James, and KD. When I think about guys who can score the basketball like that and who just straight ISO guys, yeah. I mean, Kyrie Irving, I can he speaks. I can talk all day about Kyrie Irving and how he just gets to the basket and he can score on anybody with the best of them. So I don't think Giannis is any scarier this year than he was than last year. No. Mm-mm. Nope. You think Carmelo Anthony wraps him up after this season, Julian? I think Dwight Howard wraps it up. I don't see any reason. I don't see any team that would be interested in his services. I think he is over. I watched him with the Lakers, and I think he's over. No doubt about that. I don't know if they cooked him. I said this already before you showed up, that Cleveland got a top 5 defense, and this is going to be a big time test for them defensively. Big time. They get to prove this is why we're a top 5 defensive team in the league. They get to prove that. No doubt. No doubt about that. Oh, the player who needs to chip the most for his legacy, I think James Harden. I think he needs it more than Chris Paul. And simply because Chris Paul has shown that he could get there. And not only has Chris Paul shown that he could get there, he's shown that he could get there and he could be good. James Harden, on the other hand, every year it's been something else. And not only has it been something else, it's been disappointing losses with him more than anything. So when I look at those guys, when I think about guys like that, you know, who needs it most for their legacy, I would have to say James Harden. He got to at least prove that he could get there. At least that. What is the schedule? Let's see here. Pardon me. Let's see. What is the schedule for tomorrow? So you get nothing. Okay, well, no problemo. Yeah. We're gonna find out because I just watched them play Cleveland a couple of nights ago, and they was in a dog fight with them. I mean, they just was it just Sunday? Wasn't it just yesterday? They played Cleveland. Yeah, they just played Cleveland yesterday, and it was a 2-possession game. At the end of the game, it wasn't like it wasn't like that it wasn't like they destroyed Cleveland. It was a 2-possession game at the end of the game. So, it was the Pacers. That's what I'm thinking about. It wasn't Cleveland. To think that they blow them out, I would be shocked to see Brooklyn blow these dudes away. That would shock me. I think you are vastly overrating the Brooklyn Nets. Vastly overrating them. Because I know how you feel about Kyrie Irving. I know how you feel about Kevin Durant. And I think that that's clouding your judgment during the playoffs. And I think that you are absolutely overrating them dudes. No doubt about that. To say that they blow these dudes away, wow. I don't know about blowing them out, but nobody's guarding KD King. Nobody. And not just against Cleveland. Not just against Cleveland. Don't stop with Cleveland. Nobody is guarding him. Because that's the same thing as me saying, who's going to guard Giannis? Who's going to guard Embiid? When you got guys like that, nobody is stopping those guys. Nobody. What the plan is moving forward when you're playing against guys like that is, we got to do what we can to cancel out that production. So whoever they have, so if they got KD, if they got Giannis, if they got Embiid, if they got Joe, if they got a DeMar DeRozan, Book, whoever they have, what we have to do is we have to somehow, we got to cancel out that production because we can't do anything about 28. We can't do anything. We can't do anything about 29. We're going to get that. We just got to make it hard on them, right? We have to make that hard on them. So with that being said, who do we have that's going to step up, right? Who do we have that's going to step up and that's going to match that production, right? Who's gonna match that production? And it might have to be a collection of guys. Now, when I think about Brooklyn, because again, I keep hearing the logic of, they're going to blow this team out, they're going to blow that team out. And I think that you completely overrate this team considering, I think Brooklyn is third. I think they either third or fourth from last in defense in the playoffs. They got the third or the fourth worst defensive team. So essentially what you guys are going to do is you're just going to outscore everybody. There's no way you think that that's a recipe for winning in the playoffs. You can't outscore everybody. You have to stop people. And your boys don't do that. They don't. And not only do they not do that, that's never been a recipe for success. See what happened with Steve Nash in Phoenix? They did everything that they could. They did everything that they could. Everything that they could with that Phoenix team to run the score up. At the end, they ran into some defensive teams and they couldn't get past them. They couldn't do it. So I think you guys are vastly overrating that Brooklyn team because considering who they are defensively, man, I think that they're going to have a difficult time. Definitely think that they're going to have a difficult time. So the Nets are really good, but to favor them as the third highest, I think that's nuts, Jillian. I absolutely think that that's nuts. I do think that that's nuts. Why would the Heat trade Jimmy Butler? And do what? I mean, they were the number one seed this year. It's not like that it depends on. So if they make it to the Eastern Conference Championship, you want to move off of Jimmy Butler? You out? If they end up if they end up in the Eastern Conference Championship, they end up in the NBA Finals, you out on Jimmy Butler? So, because I'm not out on him. I'm not. I mean, I think he's going to make the All-NBA team. I absolutely believe that. Mm-hmm. No, I already told you. I think Cleveland got a good shot at beating Brooklyn. I think the Nets. I think Minnesota beats the Clippers. When I think about the Eastern Conference, I think Atlanta beats Charlotte. Charlotte got the worst defensive team in the playoffs. I think Atlanta beats them. I think Cleveland got a good shot at beating Brooklyn, a real good shot at beating them. And that's what I think in the East. And then in the West, I think that Minnesota, I think they beat the Clippers. And who is the 9-10 in the West? I know New Orleans is the 10. Who is the 9 seed in the West? Why am I drawing a blank on the 9 seed in the West? Why am I drawing a blank on the 9 seed in the West? I know that New Orleans is the Spurs. They the 9 seed. I think that they beat New Orleans, and then I think that the Clippers beat them. So Minnesota and the Clippers are 7 and 8. And the Clippers are going to end up playing the 9-10 seed, which is the Spurs in New Orleans. And I think that they end up beating the Spurs. The Clippers end up beating the Spurs in a dogfight, by the way. But I think that they end up beating them. I do. So no doubt. I think DeJounte Murray is the most. I got him as most improved player this year. I think he wins that award with Darius Garland literally right behind him. No question in my mind with Darius Garland literally right behind him. So I think that he wins it though, because I think looking at his numbers and look at what he did, how much he improved as opposed to everybody else. I think that he wins it when I look at the rest of them. So the Spurs are already rebuilding, Fred. They already got their point guard in Darius Garland. Not Darius Garland, I'm sorry, in DeJounte Murray. They already got that guy. I'm not sure if Lonnie Walker is their starting 2 guard going forward. Maybe he is, right? He's got to improve because I haven't really seen much. I've seen him improve, but I haven't seen not at the rate that what I've seen from DeJounte Murray. They might have to look in another direction, right? I do think that they need him. I think they need them a big man because I think Pirtle is a backup. I don't think Pirtle is a starter on a playoff team, on a contending playoff team. I don't think he's a starter. No, I don't. I still think that they are a small forward short. So the Spurs got some work to do, but they absolutely have their franchise point guard moving forward. Absolutely, they got that. No doubt. Allen, if the Suns and the Bucks would have run it back, I got the Bucks again. I think they winning it anyway. That's where I'm at with Milwaukee. I think that they winning it. I think that they're winning it anyway. I think that going into this playoffs, everybody's healthy. When I look at what Giannis is doing, I think that defense is going to pick up. I think that rebounding is going to pick up. I think that their transition defense is going to pick up. Their offense is going to get so much better. And when I look at them against the Bulls, I mean, the Bulls don't have anybody to match Giannis. Nobody. I think he destroys them. And I think Middleton and Drew Holiday, I think that they have a more complete team than what Chicago has with Middleton and Drew Holiday, Grayson Allen, who I think Grayson Allen has the best, with the exception of Tyler Hero. I think that Grayson Allen has the best job in the NBA, All you got to do is make open shots. That's it. And be solid. You don't have to be great defensively. Just be solid defensively and make open shots. He's got the best job in the NBA. And the reason why is simply because when I look at the kind of shots that he gets, when I look at his shot quality, he gets a lot of open shots, a lot of wide open shots. And to just have to make wide open shots, considering the attention that Giannis draws and the playmaker that Giannis is, the attention that how Middleton stretches the defense, also how Drew Holiday stretches the defense and the attention that he draws, man. He's got one of the simplest, one of the most simple jobs in the game. I'm convinced of that. Oh. Yeah. I do like your Hawks' chances of making the playoffs. I think they beat Charlotte. I do think that. No doubt about that, Dylan. I think they beat Charlotte. And they'll play the Cleveland-Brooklyn winner. And see, and the thing about a one game, right? The thing about a one-game series, I mean, anybody can beat anybody in one game, right? Anybody can beat anybody in one game. Now, when you talk about over a 4-game series, over a 7-game series, man, you're talking about something completely different, yo. Completely different. And I'm having a really good time thinking about what this Brooklyn team is going to look like in the playoffs, what Cleveland is going to look like in the playoffs. I thought they were going to be better, to be honest with you. But like KD said, their season got derailed by injury. No doubt about that. No, I don't think that the Raptors will upset the Sixers. Could the Warriors beat the Nuggets without Curry? Nope. Nope. Joker too good. There's no way that I think that if you're taking 25, 26 a game out the lineup against Denver in the playoffs, because you're going to need all of that against Joker. I don't think you're going to need some of that. You're going to need everything that you could possibly get. You're going to need all of that against him. So, man, if they don't have Curry, I don't think that I'm not giving them a good shot. I think that they get out. I think that they get ousted. And if they can do that this year, if the Brooklyn Nets can do that this year, where they can start slowing people down, then they got a legit shot. I'd like to see that. Oh, I would absolutely like to see that. No doubt. No doubt about that. Zay, I'm not going to fight that. I mean, he was leading the league in scoring. Brooklyn was in first place. They were rolling. And he was the catalyst to what they were doing. He was the catalyst to what they were doing. He was definitely in the conversation for being I don't know. I'm not going to say that he was the hands down MVP, because when I think about what Giannis is doing, when you're talking about, this is the thing that needs to be understood. When you guys talk to me about KD, right? When you guys talk to me about KD and that how he's the best player, when I think about a guy who's elite on both sides of the basketball, you having a difficult time selling me this other guy. You having a difficult time selling me the other guy. When there's a guy who's elite on both sides of the basketball. He's not good on both sides of the basketball. He's elite on both sides of the basketball, and his team is at the top of a tougher conference. You got a difficult time selling me this one guy who's just buckets. You have a difficult time with that, and I can appreciate the eye test. Absolutely. I see what Kevin Durant does offensively, but when I got a guy who's a playmaker like Giannis is, now what KD did yesterday with 16 assists, am I buying that moving forward? No, I'm not. I think that he did that like Kobe Bryant went out and got a triple-double to prove that I could do it, but that's really not me. That's not how I get down. Nah, but I'm going to do it, though. just to show y'all that I could do this. That's really not my game. No, I'm really not gonna. I'm really not gonna do this going forward. So I'm not getting sucked into what I saw yesterday with Kevin Durant dishing out 16 assists. No, I'm not getting sucked into that at all. Absolutely not. No way. There is no double standard for him. You know why there's no double standard for him, King? Because he hasn't shown that. There's a difference if he's done that all the time, because now that means that I expect that from you. And not only do I expect that from you, right? Not only do I expect that from you, I ain't tripping when you do it because that's your game. But when you only do it once in a while, and I see this guy doing it all the time, I can't get on your train because you only did it 3 times and you blowing my mind with it. And this guy does it all year. No, that's not a double standard. Absolutely not. No way. It's not even close, to be honest with you. It's not, to be honest with you. The gap between him and Giannis defensively, it's like this. Everything else offensively is this. But the gap between those two, and that's the difference for me. That's the difference right there for me. That right there makes it, that right there makes the difference for me. See that right there? Giannis ain't pulling up like KD does. That's nonsense. Because yes, he is pulling up in transition. Yes, he is. How much has his mid-range game improved? Tremendously. And you're not selling me that a guy who averages 30 a game, that his offense and this other guy's offense is Kevin Durant is a much better offensive player than him. You're not selling me that. You're not. And the reason why you're not selling me that is because I watch and the numbers show me that it's not that much of a difference. It's not that much of a difference. As opposed to when I watch and I see the numbers and we're talking about defense, it's something completely different. Completely different. Mm-hmm. I ain't even tripping on that, Ray. I wish I could tell you that I was tripping on that, but I'm not tripping on that. That whole super team, I think that logic, I think that's going the other way. For me, it's going the other way. I don't care about that. I really don't. That doesn't sway me one way or the other because you ain't winning the NBA championship without great. If you win it with just you and a bunch of okay players, that's an anomaly. Ain't nobody doing that. If you rewind the clock back 50 years, let's go back 50 years. How many teams have won the NBA championship with one awesome dude and a bunch of okay players? How many teams have done that? How many? Okay, Dirk did it. That's one guy. So think about that for a second. One guy in 60 years. 2 guys. That's who I was thinking about. I was thinking about Dirk and Olajuwon. That's it. So you're talking about 2 guys in 60 years? You want to value those championships more than the guys who are on great teams? That ain't legit. No way that you selling me that one. No. Kawhi did not do it with a bunch of okay guys. No, he did not. That was a damn good team he was on. He was just the difference on that team. Absolutely. Kawhi did not do it with just him and a bunch of okay guys. No, he did not. No way you selling me that one. Isaiah Thomas did it with a man, please. Get out of here with that. King. You have no idea how good them Pistons teams were. None. No way. Nope. No way. So that's that logic, right? I think we done with that. I'm not buying that at all. So yeah, man. Looks like it's about that time for me. So all right, guys. It's about that time for me. But Playoffs, baby. Playoffs, postseason awards. It's all in effect. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be good stuff. Check it out. I promise that I'm going to definitely be in the middle of it. And you're going to definitely hear from me and continue to hear from me. So let's keep this thing cracking, yo. Let's keep this thing cracking. But until then, take it light, but take it.